There's never been a more important time to internationalize your life, and you can do it in 30 days or less with very, very easy steps that don't cost an arm and a leg. In this short video, I'm going to talk about the 3 most important reasons that you need to internationalize right now. But first, if you enjoy this content, subscribe to the video below and click the link below to get a free download that helps you plan your international lifestyle. For regular people, the idea of creating an international lifestyle comes with a connotation that you're turning your back on your country or you're leaving your people behind. And my answer to that is, with the events unfolding both domestically and around the world, that some of the people running our institutions have become corrupted by the power that the state gives to you, which is the power to coerce people by force and the threat of force. The ideas that have gotten into these institutions and the people that are promoting and espousing these ideas are the worst kind of people to be in charge of wielding government power. Is your culture and is your place of birth the thing that you're loyal to? And if so, does that mean you have to remain in the clutches of a government gone mad? Or is there also a loyalty to the ideals, the idea of America, the idea of liberal democracies in the best sense of that, where toleration was not jammed down your throat by 59 different genders that you have to agree to, where the currency can be debased and you have absolutely nothing to say about it, but people on Wall Street continue to profit? Is your loyalty to that, or is your loyalty to the idea that there is benefit to limited government, that individuals do have sovereignty to decide what to put in their bodies? If your loyalty is to the idea of what made our cultures and our societies in the West so successful, then you do owe it to yourself to reconsider whether or not you should remain where you are. Because if you're within a certain geographic boundary, you're leaving yourself wide open to all kinds of political risk, especially if you're in one of these formerly free Western democracies, which are going to go unbelievable change in the coming months and years. Now is the best time for you to be internationalizing your life, which you can do with very, very little effort, very minimal expense. The important thing is time. You don't have a lot of time to get these pieces in place, and that's why we're coming to you with this information. So let me just dive in. Here's the 3 most important reasons now is the time for you to internationalize. First, look at the 34 felony counts and the guilty verdict for Donald Trump. They actually created the law in New York to be able to charge this guy. Understand the precedent that sets, where you have a legal system now where if the government doesn't like you, they can come after you. It used to be that if you committed a crime, there was an investigation, they had to come up with proof, they had to find a victim, and they had to actually find some way to say, if we put this in front of a jury of 12 peers, this person would be found with beyond a reasonable doubt guilty. That was not the case here. When the legal system becomes weaponized by the political elites to this degree, you do not want to be caught inside that dragnet lawfare movement where if the government doesn't like you, they go investigate you and then find something that they could charge you with. The Federal Registry of Laws and all the various legal codes that citizens have to follow is something along the lines of 79,000 pages long. Almost all Americans commit at least 3 felonies by lunchtime because the legal code is now so expansive. You have to have committed some kind of crime, and the digital surveillance dragnet that's been created means now they just have all the evidence they need. All they have to do is decide, okay, let's charge this guy with something, go find whatever we can charge him with. These are the signs of an empire in decline. This is a sign of an elite group of bureaucratic and political operatives who know that their time in the sun is at a minimum threatened and probably coming to an end. And so the dangers of staying around while that happens are very real. The second piece that makes it very obvious that now is the time to make your move and internationalize yourself, all the forever wars that are taking place, in the same dynamic, we're going to go find people that we disagree with in the world and then start a war with them. Even if you take the events of September 11th at face value, the idea was that terrorists from Saudi Arabia hijacked these planes, flew them into key buildings, and then we should attack Iraq because they have weapons of mass destruction. How do you get from one to the other? Well, it doesn't matter because Saddam's a bad guy, so let's just attack him. And we sent 500,000 fighting men and women to invade Iraq and dethrone Saddam Hussein. And this forever war abroad is also a modus operandi for developing the kind of tactics, strategies, technology, tools, weapons to suppress a population and be able to lock down an area. You see now, I lived in Florida not long ago, and there were military vehicles sold to local police that could withstand an IED or a mine with great big tires and gun turrets and little slits that they can shoot out. We're in Delray, Florida. What would the possible need be for a vehicle like that against the civilian population? The alphabet agencies have taken the knowledge that has been gained by controlling populations in our forever wars overseas and are now implementing those exact counterinsurgency tactics here within the United States. What that means is somebody's planning on, and they're expecting, some very significant amount of civil unrest to require those kinds of measures. Of all the ways to avoid trouble, the best one is get out of town. But that doesn't just mean physically get out of town. That also means reroute and park some of your legacy wealth outside the easy reach of desperate and dangerous governments. And the other piece to the domestic situation here in the US especially is the dramatic rise in vice. Here I'm talking about gambling, usually among males, and prostitution among women. In this case, not outright prostitution for money, but these porn sites like OnlyFans are booming. The revenues are off the charts. You think your daughter's off at college, and actually she's making a great living on the side, having sex with men and having it filmed and posted on a website where people have to pay in order to watch. And so this kind of prostitution and gambling is exactly what you saw when society really broke down in, say, Weimar Germany. There are stories about this in Venezuela. When people get desperate, this is what they turn to. And so the fact that you're seeing that on such an obvious upward trajectory is a very bad sign. The third piece here is in the collapse of a society. The worst part of that collapse is the final stage when all bets are off. They will declare war. Now, the war is well underway. It hasn't been declared openly yet, but it's coming. And the likelihood that many of the people who have snuck across the southern border are in the United States and possibly Canada to cause real trouble. If you wanted to bring the US to its knees, you could certainly do so with a very limited number of people, armed, determined, unafraid to die, and willing to cause real trauma, whether it's poisoning the water supply or blowing up electricity transformers, which take a lot of money and a long time to replace. You could render the place very unlivable for a long period of time with very little effort. And the idea that all these people have been allowed in, nobody really knows who they are, where they are, what they're up to, and what their intentions are, is an absolute travesty. It's an insane policy that has allowed this to happen. And so there's no doubt that real trouble is going to unfold. And when it does, a lot of things may be too late. So now is the time, because you still have the opportunity to diversify yourself internationally. Remember, international diversification is freedom insurance. If you have residency and passports and real estate and a place to live and your assets are spread out around the globe, no one single political jurisdiction can lose its mind, shut down all of your freedom, take all of your wealth, and you're trapped until further notice. You want to be out of that situation as quickly as you can get there. I put together a very short primer that you can follow to really get your head up to speed on exactly the steps you would need to take. It's called the Bulletproof Plan B. You can find that below. In the next video, I'm going to talk to you about why my favorite spot is the Americas and the really agreeable lifestyle that can be had for pennies on the dollar. Okay, I'll be back. That video is right over here. Thanks.